Ayo, review family, keep it high, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morris, a review guy, and I'm back to bring you another video. And this is just a kind of open discussion video. I like to do these from time to time whenever I have something in my mind that pops up about music that just really has me kind of curious to hear what you guys think and give my stance on something. So I review a wide range of genres on this channel, or at least I try to, and I've been trying to expand it even more over time. But I consider myself to be a metalhead, and basically what that means is it's just someone who listens to heavy metal music. And as someone that professes to listen to pretty much every type of heavy metal genre of music, there's a lot of stigma that comes around it. I can't tell you how many times I've told people that I listen to heavy metal online, and the type of responses I get are things that everyone should be familiar with. And I'm going to go over some of these today in a video that I'm not really sure how to title. I'll think up a title, but basically what this video is stigmatisms that metalheads have to face. And I'm literally making this very free form. I'm not going to be doing this in a list type of oriented video. This isn't like top 5 or top 10. This is just kind of different ones. And we already did list week. Don't worry, we're not doing more lists. But this is just me talking to you guys. So the first one is basically you got to deal with the stigmatism of the music itself. The moment, and this kind of branches out into a lot of different things, the moment you tell someone that you listen to heavy metal music, it's going to be kind of, you're going to get quite a few questions right off the bat. Oh, that's not really music. Oh, how do you listen to that? Oh, how do you understand what they're saying? Oh, you must worship Satan. Oh, you must do a lot of drugs. Are you an alcoholic? These are literally questions that I have heard people in the metalhead community. I'm part of like some groups on Discord and Facebook, and I've heard so many, like, these are so recurring. And it's just like, those are some of the most like common ones. It's just like, oh, you must worship the devil and be an alcoholic and take a lot of drugs to listen to this music. Now I'm going to go listen to the new Lil Wayne album where he's talking about hoes, bands, and taking crack, because you know that's different than if you're doing it while playing a guitar and drums in an aggressive way. Didn't you know that there's a correlation between the two, and one's a lot superior to the other? So I'm going to go listen to the new Lil Wayne album because, you know, that is a lot more logical, a lot more free thinking. Well, to that I have to say, listen to the lyrics, read the lyrics along, because, and I know reading lyrics isn't for everyone. I mean, you don't have to. I get it if you aren't into that, if that isn't you. But to be honest, like, so many of them are better than that, and everyone just presumes. Okay, let me put it this way. This is the best way I can explain heavy metal when it comes to the lyrical content. There is satanic heavy metal music, especially in the black metal genre. That genre in the 80s with the early Norwegian scene was built on that. And there was a lot of controversy. A lot of those bands are gone now. A lot of those bands aren't around anymore. And a lot of other bands have adopted different styles, different lyrical content. And there are bands of different genres that put that in their music. At the same time, there are Christian heavy metal bands. I've covered recently Impending Doom. They are a Christian deathcore band. There are so many Christian bands, heavy metal bands, some of which just have like practicing members, or just don't put religion in their lyrics at all. There are some bands I'm sure that are out there that are Islamic. I'm sure there are Buddhist heavy metal bands out there with practicing members in that religion. And the argument I have with that is, there's lyrical content like that in every genre. I mean, people, the reason there's such a stigmatism against heavy metal is it's so easy to immediately kind of go to that extreme, when in reality every other genre has the same types of things in it that condone the same types of behavior. And you got to kind of go into heavy metal with an open mind, as if any other genre, where there's going to be people with different mindsets, with different lyrical values, with different ideologies, and you just have to deal with the fact that there's going to be so many different types of music and lyrical themes, just like any other genre or any other media in general. You're going to get people who adopt different styles, who adopt different sounds. So moving on from there, the issue about purchasing merchandise. And this is another thing that, see, a lot of these things are just kind of popular things that I've dealt with, as well as I've seen so many other people in the groups I'm in deal with. Purchasing merchandise, we have it fairly easy in the United States. Now, I've heard a lot of more difficult times from other countries, so this may be different elsewhere, but it's still noticeably difficult here, because if you get a really underground band that very few people know, that are maybe even unsigned or are on a very small label, it could be very difficult to get t-shirts. It may be very difficult to get CDs or vinyls or whatever you collect, cassettes. And like a band that just popped into my head, here's a genre I bet you haven't heard of: war metal. Look it up. There's a band, Bestial Warlust. They're a war metal band, a very underground war metal band. They didn't have much of a following, but in the underground they were very popular. And they make some pretty decent music. I've listened to them. Probably not going to cover them, but that's besides the point. It'd be difficult to get that CD. It'd be difficult to get their albums. It'd be difficult to get any shirts. Especially as time goes by and bands disband, it's harder to find it. And for most heavy metal bands, you're not going to be able to just go to your local store and buy some of your favorite bands if they're like the more lesser known they are. Like if you're like a conventional heavy metal fan, and if you just, which I have, there's nothing wrong with that. If you are into just like Metallica and AC/DC and Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, yeah, you're probably going to be able to find those shirts and albums fairly easily. But if you're into like some of the early Opeth albums, if you are a fan of, let's say, like early Amon Amarth, it can be difficult to find things, and most certainly it could be hard to find things for cheap, economical prices, which merchandise in general goes up with time if less is made and time goes by and more people want it, but it's less in, it's like the most basic economical thing, supply and demand. If there's not as much supply, but there's a lot of people that want the items that you are selling, obviously the price is going to peak up, just because people are wanting that item so badly, and they're willing to pay upwards of that to stop the other people from getting it so they can get it. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about is shows, concerts, going to see bands. Every heavy metal fan has said this. I will go as far as to say that every heavy metal fan has had this happen to them at least once, if not a lot more than that. Your favorite band goes on tour. Maybe they just released like a really bomb album, like a really bombshell album, like it's really a really good album. And they release this album and they're going on tour, and you're like, man, I'm getting so hyped. I'm gonna go see. Let's just take like example, let's Cannibal Corpse. Let's say like, man, Cannibal Corpse is going on tour. I'm really excited. They just released their new album. I'm wanting to go see them. I'm wanting to go see them play it live. And then you go to their tour date and it's nowhere near you, or they don't go to your country. And that's something that every heavy metal fan kind of has to deal with, is that seeing your band, unless you're near a big city or are able to get into venues, if you are like around the area, you're going to have difficult times. Now, here's the thing about that. A lot of heavy metal shows are small, and I feel like that'd be kind of fun because of the moshing, because it'd be such a small pit. I think that would be fun because it'd be more kind of interaction between the band that's playing, the artist that's playing, and the people that are there, the concert goers, because you notice that if you watch videos, usually the bands are like participating and getting really into the show themselves. Obviously they should, because they're the ones that are performing it in the first place. So obviously you're going to want to be into the show because you're making the show. And the final thing that I'm going to say is just overall the stigmatism of the way the music sounds and trying to explain that there's such a thing as genres and subgenres. We've all been here. Go find someone that is very inexperienced in metal and strike up a conversation about music. And when they ask you what type of music you're into, say you're into heavy metal. My guess is they're probably going to say, oh, yeah, I've heard some Metallica songs, or I've heard some AC/DC songs. That's pretty cool. Or they'll talk about a band that's not even really that heavy metal. They'll say, like, oh, man, yeah, I'm into Five Finger Death Punch, and it's oh, yeah, Disturbed, man, that good heavy metal band. And I'm not saying those aren't heavy metal. I'm just saying they're kind of like the more radio-friendly metal. And you tell them that. And this has actually happened to me before, and I know this has happened to a lot of other people. You'll tell them that you're into heavy metal. They'll mention one of those bands, and you'll be like, yeah, I like those bands, but I'm also into, and then just say whatever band you want. Let's just say, like, I don't know, Necrophagist, Autopsy, something like one of those bands, Cryptopsy. It doesn't matter, any of those bands that you want, and they'll be like, I don't think I've ever heard of them. And you'll be like, well, they're technical death metal, they're death metal, they're deathcore, they're metalcore, they're, I don't know, funeral doom metal, and you say whatever band it is, whatever genre it is, and this is the stare that they give you. It's just like, well then, like they're literally about to douse you in holy water just for what you said. And the whole religion thing, that's the thing that gets me so much. It's like, you worship the devil because you listen to that music. It's like, have you even listened to the music? It's difficult. But that's just some of the stigmatisms that metalheads face. And all of these have personally happened to me before. And I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you'd like to see part 2, let me know. I'm Jay Mercer, Review Guy, and I'll talk to you guys next time, but until then, I'm signing off saying farewell.
Oh no, what your mama gonna say when I tell her that I broke no heart? It's just things not the way that they used to be. Oh no, now you crying on the bathroom floor, and I guess it's the end. Well, I lost my mind and I lost my best friend.